If you got a great product, you got great customer service, why do those kind of businesses still fail? It's got to be because of their network. And so why is it such a struggle to network, to build that?
Each person has their different feelings on maybe why it's a struggle. One, maybe they're just lazy and aren't putting themselves out there. Maybe not lazy, but just not wanting to spend the extra time to do something like that. Or there's maybe that they just have a lot of self-doubt and nervousness of even getting involved in that. Hey everybody, welcome back to the FIP Printing Pros podcast. I'm your host, Josh Dynison. As always, got my co-host, Chris Lockwood. Today we'll be talking about mastering your networking and how crucial it is for business growth. And I will start it off, and obviously I've been in business now 8 years coming up, or actually I think this is we're about 7.5. So this is start of year eight.
Look,
basically.
man, don't try and figure that out on your wedding anniversary. You gotta know.
That's one I don't really. I try to remember the wedding anniversary. But as far as like networking goes, I feel like I've had to do that hardcore. So when I first started in my Nebraska business, it's a very small community. And I integrated myself big time. Like I was in the chamber, became an ambassador for the chamber, ended up basically volunteering for everything, and being involved in all these different events. One, just I like to help in general with that kind of stuff, but also just it put my name out there more. I got more connections, got to meet new people all the time that maybe I would have never met just in general. So that was a big thing for while I was in Nebraska with that business. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, no, I was sitting there thinking when we talked about this subject. I was like, why is networking such an important topic? And when you think about building a business or building, your network, what is so scary about networking that people struggle with? Because I would be willing to guess that, unless if you got a great product, you got great customer service, why do those kind of businesses still fail? It's got to be because of their network. And so why is it such a struggle to network, to build that, do you think?
There's a couple different thoughts on that. Each person has their different feelings on maybe why it's a struggle. One, maybe they're just lazy and aren't putting themselves out there.
That's
and maybe not lazy, but just not wanting to spend the extra time to do something like that. Or there's maybe that they just have a lot of self-doubt and nervousness of even getting involved in that because...
What the nervousness, I think that's also that fear of rejection.
Exactly.
Yeah. What if people don't like me? What if they don't like my product? What if, they don't like what I have to say? So that definitely, I think that's what leads to that nervousness or not feeling adequate and all that kind of stuff.
Which also kind of is involved with like a fear of rejection.
Yeah.
Which, if you have any sales background of any kind, like that's something you just have to overcome. And that's why I think as a business owner, if you're not a business owner yet, like getting in sales is a big thing because no matter what business you get in, you can never not utilize the skill of sales. Mm-hmm. And what it gets you used to is that you're just going to get a lot of no's. No matter how good of a product you have, company you have, whatever it is that you're trying to do, it doesn't matter. You're going to always get no's. And I think a lot of people, that's just their fear or socially rejected. There's a lot of cliques that go on at these type of events. There's people that know each other, so they're hanging out with the people they know, and then you're coming in not knowing anybody, and that fear of like just standing off to the side, not like how do you enter that conversation? Introverts obviously, can struggle with that, which I consider myself, based on the definition, I'm actually an introvert. which I think a lot of people don't understand what that actually means. Introvert, usually you think it's just the quiet person in the corner. That's not technically what introvert is. Introvert means it's somebody that when you go and do these type of things, it actually like takes from you. Like it what's the best?
It drains your energy.
Drains your energy.
Yeah, you know, and with that, introverts, it's all about how you like to spend your free time.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be at home, reading a book, hanging out with your spouse or your kids. You don't want to go out. You don't get energy from being out. You know, you recharge your energy from being, from within. Whereas an extrovert, they get energy from going out and doing these things.
Yeah.
But that has zero to do with your ability to communicate. It has
Correct.
nothing to do with can I or can I not talk to people. You're absolutely right. So for those that are like, oh, I'm an introvert, I can't do this. Shut up. That ain't got nothing to do with it. Go out there and talk to people, right? What you're calling yourself as a hermit. It's got nothing to do with it. So, okay, let's get to some practical, like, how do I do these things? So you just got back from a major event. So I think if we could break it down into two kinds of networking, right? So you have events and not clubs. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Kind of clubs.
Okay, clubs.
Yeah.
So you have big events, and then you have groups that you join, and then we're going to talk about kind of your one-on-one. Like I have to individually build my network, right? So you just got back from a massive event. Talk about what that event was, and then how you use that to grow your network.
So this was a actual trade show, and it is basically you set up a booth, and at this particular event there was over 2,000 suppliers, and I was one of the suppliers because one of the things that we do, I started a wholesale side of what I do now, so I work with other print companies and promotional companies, and I do the print work for them because a lot of the print and promotional companies out there, they outsource all their work, or some of it at least. And
like you said before, if you're getting swag or you're getting
promotional
products, you're not going to walk into a storefront and they're going to print that right there. That's coming from
a supplier
somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So that we do that on the print side and signs. So we do print and signs in-house that we do for other companies. And so I was there as the wholesale side, and this was in Chicago. And people were coming from all over the United States to go to this event. And basically it's just a line. There's like 20 rows of different vendors, and on each side, and everybody would just go down the line and talk to whoever they want. And so they come up to your booth, and the way this one is set up, everybody's got a badge on, and it's got a QR code on it, and you set up a profile already when you initially do it that's attached to your QR code. So when they come up to your booth, I've got an app on my phone that I can scan their QR code. I can make notes when I talk to them, like if there's something specifically talked about, or maybe just something personal about them that they brought up that I can bring into an email follow-up or a phone call follow-up. But what opens this up is these are people that I probably, maybe at some point I could have come across if I, as far as if I'm looking out there in the United States and cold calling or something like that. But for the most part, I'm probably wouldn't have an opportunity to talk to these people. And they're looking for people like me that they can start using and trusting and whatnot. So this is a different one where you pay it wasn't like a huge chunk, but like it was a decent amount of money to set up the booth. And then they just come to you. Whereas like the chamber events, like I mentioned, that's just a big group of people that you got to try to go up to people and talk to them. This one, they come to you.
Okay. So let's back up. 2,000 vendors.
Yep.
You're one wholesaler among many, many wholesalers.
Correct.
So what's your mindset when you're going to something like this? It's just like, I'm just one of however many, whether it's 20, 50, 100, or half of them are wholesalers. What's your mindset that says, I'm the guy that they need to come and see?
Well, so one good thing is out of those 2,000 vendors, majority of them, and I would say 90% of them, are strictly promotional product suppliers. I'm doing printed paper materials, all that kind of your booklets, brochures, flyers, and all that kind of stuff, as well as signage. I think out of all those 2,000, there might have been 5 to 10 of us that were in that category. So there's my differentiator right there. I'm already narrowed down out of those 2,000 to where I'm a niche down, not as many there already. And two, where I think a lot of those people may not try, and if they basically ask, do you do printing or whatever? And if they don't, they just like, okay, no worries, thank you. What I've actually tried to shift is I talk to the people, say, why aren't you offering print? You got me, you can offer it.
Wow. Okay,
And
so there's another, 1,900 and call it 50 people that don't offer this service, and you're like, hey, you can offer it, just come through me to get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what's done, because I remember this because my Nebraska business was only apparel and promotional. That's all we did. So I never wanted to jump in the print because it was scary. Because it's different. I don't know it. I don't understand it. I don't know what stocks to use. I don't know any of that lingo to basically help the customer best. And so I know what that felt like from my side of it when I had my Nebraska business. So how I was approaching it now is I'm telling them like, hey, let me be the expert. You don't have to be the expert. If the customer has a question of any kind, I will answer it for you, and you can sound like the expert. You come to me and I can help you through that process. And what a lot of them don't realize when they're doing the promotional products, a lot of the things they're designing, like a banner, like they still might do like a banner or something like that, something in that realm. The design element of creating a banner is going to be the same thing as putting it on a flyer. Like there's not much different. So if you know how to put that together, it's the same thing. All you just got to understand is the stocks difference and a little bit of different, I guess, verbiage that you have to use for the paper side of things. Okay. And again, I told them like, it's very easy to figure that out as you get in, because everything's got a set like stock typically for everything. And it's listed on my website. When you go to that particular item, there's the stock, there's that. So you can sound like you're an expert just by looking at that. Yeah.
Well, and I think the key to this is you don't have to be the expert to sell or offer this product. So what you just have to do is find the person that is the expert. And in this case, when you go to this big event, 2,000 vendors, you're one of a handful of vendors that are the expert in the print. And if I'm not an expert in the print, but I'm like, hey, I want to be able to offer this, I don't have to know nothing about it. All I got to do is come and say, hey, Josh, you're gonna be my guy.
Yep.
And
this is what they want.
Yeah, and this is I'm gonna put this on my website and offer it. So when business comes to you, give me my percent. I'll let you do the work. I don't even have to. I'll eventually learn it, but I don't have to be the expert up front. So I think the key takeaway from this is no matter what, whether you're in plumbing, electrical, any of the trades, whether you're doing pharmaceuticals, there's a trade show out there for everything.
Yep.
Number one.
Yep.
Number two, try and offer just that little bit something different that other people don't to set yourself apart, and be the expert on that thing.
Yep.
And if you don't have that but you need it, then you find that person that is.
Yes.
And then you can expand your business. So it's like you can immediately expand your business in one of two ways doing this kind of networking. Number one, you can provide a service that nobody else provides. Or number two, you can acquire a service that you currently don't provide, and now you've just expanded your customer base.
Yes.
So, okay, let's move past the big events. Let's talk about what is probably more common for most people, and that's your local groups, your Chamber of Commerce, BNI. I want you to explain what BNI is and how it's a little different than the Chamber. Veterans groups, business owners, things like that. So kind of talk about how you utilize those groups locally to grow your business.
Yeah, so obviously we talked about the Chamber events that you can go to, your business after hours. That's the main one that kind of people think about. That's generally you're literally just coming, a big group of people in one room or where maybe it's outside, whatever it is, and you're just approaching them and trying to network with them in general. And when I say network, I'm saying talk about your business. And this is where some people also like they struggle to talk about their business and bring it up. But this is exactly what this is for. Like people expect you to come up to them and talk about your business. Whereas in maybe like the general public, if you're just walking around, like you're not going to be just like constantly like, I mean, I do a little bit, but not like, I don't push it. Like if it comes up in conversation, it's one thing. But here, like it's expected for you to come there and start talking about your business to people and try to understand what they do too. And so that's where that comes into play. Then when you shift over to, again, the trade show, that was people basically coming to you. This one you're going up to try to meet people in a group. And then on BNI, where that's a big difference is this is specifically what I would call it is a networking thing, but it's more on the referral side of things is what it is. And so say there's a group of 40 different people in a room meeting once a week, and each of them have to represent different industries. That's the difference in BNI. So like chamber events, there could be 20 print companies. If there's 20 print companies here, could go to that event and try to network with people. Whereas BNI, only one person can hold an industry spot within that group. And then basically how that then happens from there is each of those people are supposed to be meeting on one-to-ones and explaining what you do. Plus every meeting, you're standing up and telling people what you're looking for, like who you want to connect with, whether it's a specific industry, person, whatever the case may be. Then everybody in the group, if they know somebody in that industry or that specific person you're asking for, then they like, hey, I got you, I'll connect you. And basically they're trying to help you get that connection. I actually just did it with you the other day.
Yep.
Somebody was looking for those of you who don't know, he also works in the assisted living side of things.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that here in a minute. It's a change I don't think we've told anybody about yet.
Not really, no. So with him working now in the assisted living side, I had somebody that literally just last Thursday in my BNI group basically was looking for connections in the assisted living side of things, and I'm like, I actually know 3 people.
I know a guy.
So I ended up introducing you guys in a text message, and then you guys can now take it from there. I'm out of the picture. Now it's up to you guys to now figure out how you guys can work together and everything like that. So that's the difference in BNI is, yes, you're still trying to connect with them because maybe they can use you. So there is some like networking involved with that, but most of it is really on the referral side and helping you get connected to the person you need to get connected to.
Yeah.
Using each other's networks that we've grown through all these events we're talking about that we've done, and now we're using our network going to this person, and now using their network, and we trade off basically.
Yeah. So I want to give a couple of tips to the people who go to these network events, whether it's Chamber of Commerce or whatever. Like I'm going to tell you what to look for, and I'm going to tell you how to interact when you're first starting out, when you're first trying to figure out how to do this. Because going back to the problem a lot of people have, rejection and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people, like you said earlier, are not comfortable going in and saying, hey, I'm Josh, I'm First Impressions Printing. We print your blah, 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 blah. Like, people aren't comfortable, especially if they're new, because they haven't quite, maybe figured out all their business stuff yet, right?
Yep. So
here's a couple of things to do when you go to these events. Number one, look for the person sitting in the corner not talking to anybody, because they're there. Every single one, there's always someone there. I've been to some to where it's like an after hours thing, and you're at a local eatery and they got a bar and they got this going on. There's still going to be that person sitting off to the side and not talking. Find that person and go talk to them. Now, what do you say to them? Don't go up to them and say, oh, I'm Chris. This is what I do. You can do the introduction like that, but what you really want to do, and this is the secret right here to any kind of networking. Don't talk about yourself, talk about them. Ask them what they do, ask them questions. But as you're doing that, you're leading them down a path so that they can tell you what they're missing. Mm-hmm. And then you can either figure out how you provide that for them, or you can connect them with someone that can, because that's just as important. I'll give you a quick example. Let's just say me and you are, we're going and doing our thing. We're talking to each other. We're networking. So Josh could start asking me questions like, so what is your business? What do you do? Oh, that's awesome. I haven't seen your promotional stuff around. What kind of promotions do you do? Oh, well, all I'm doing right now is post it on Facebook. Oh, that's cool. So do you do your own graphic design? Do you do blah, blah, blah? I was like, well, I just kind of play around on Canva. What he's doing is he's probing me for questions to see how far along in that process I am.
Yep.
Because then what he can do, as he's gathered all this information, now he can flip and be like, listen, man, I'm definitely not trying to tell you how to run your business, but I just, I heard a couple of things in there I think I can help you with. I have a graphic designer on staff that can take that burden off of you that you're struggling to come up with X, Y, and Z. Or I'm partnered with a social media company that exploded my business, and I'd be happy to make the introduction. Or, I looked at your business card, man. Where'd you have these business cards printed? Oh, I printed that shit at home. Oh, let me tell you something. I'm going to hook you up, right? Because the cost of printing business cards is like, pennies on the dollar or whatever. And you're like, hey, I'm gonna get you some professional, some better cards. What? But now I'm leading into, but I would not be able to do that if I didn't ask all these questions. And people love to talk about themselves. Ask open-ended questions. Don't ask yes or no questions, because there are people out there it's almost impossible to have a conversation with. But so that is a really good approach when you're trying to figure out how to network. Just ask questions. Ask about their business. Ask what they do, and listen for that opening. And if you have something in common with that person, even if it's two completely different, areas of business, you're going to hear things that maybe they're struggling with. You'd be like, oh yeah, dude, been there, done that. Here's what I did to overcome it. Here's who I was introduced to. Let me introduce you to them, those kind of things. That is an excellent approach to building that network.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on a little bit is, not going directly and talking about yourself. You're asking them questions. I think it's really important. I mean, one, I like to do it in general. I just like to help people any way I can help them in life, whatever that looks like. If it's business, life, however I can help somebody, I like to do that. But I also think it's key in these situations to provide value for someone and not expect anything back. And long term, whether you get the dividends of that, and maybe not even from that person, but I feel like long term, if you provide value to someone or people in general, people will provide value back to you in the long term, because they see that you're trying to help people and they want to help you. I think that's key in the networking side of things, by doing that. And I think that's sometimes a little missed because some people get so caught up in the, I got to go talk about my business, got to talk about my business. Yeah. And if you literally, because I've gone to events where I do that thing where I talk to somebody and then I realize they need some more help than at that moment, that get connections. I'm like, oh, this is what oh yeah, come over here. I know this guy over here, and I'll make that connection and do things like that. And that happens all the time, and not even just for me. Like people did that for me when I first got involved a lot of times with these type of things, and it really helped me out a lot. But I think what also helps is being a part of these groups. The more you get noticed is, I don't know if you would consider networking, but social media, I think it's networking in a way if you use it right. Like LinkedIn, obviously, is one of the main ones that is known for business networking. But even like just social media, say Facebook, there are groups that you can be a part of that are specifically for. Now you got to find the right ones, because there are a lot out there that are, I don't know if you want to call them bots or whatever, or just basically spam people.
Oh yeah.
That's not, you got to find the right ones that are actually good groups. There's some good solid groups I'm a part of that actually truly do network, or even like Ocala word of mouth, like around here that is out there. People will post on there, hey, where can I find a print company or plumbing company or electrician or whatever, and then everybody's throwing, oh yeah, so-and-so, FIP,
Yeah, personal recommendations are huge.
Yes.
And if people know you, that's the key. So, all right, we talked about the big, the groups. We've talked about the big events. Let's talk about the one-on-one marketing. That's a whole nother beast, right? So Josh kind of alluded to it a while ago. I am now working for a company called Trilogy Home Healthcare. And it was an opportunity for me to get back to what I did for 20 years in recruiting, which is essentially building a network and helping people get home health care. So I'll give a brief, what we do, and so people understand. So, and I didn't even really know this was that big an industry until I actually kind of got into it. So essentially, when you go to the hospital, you have a surgery and things like that. When you come out of it, you could be what they call homebound, meaning you can't just freely get up and go and drive and go to doctor's appointments or therapy and stuff like that. So there are companies that send nurses and therapists and occupational therapists and social workers to your house on a regular basis to help you continue with your healing and recovery process. So my job is to it's called a home healthcare coordinator. And my job is to be that coordinator between the doctor's office or the hospital, our clinical staff, the nurses and the physical therapists and all that, and the patient in the middle. So I bridge that gap between the three. And the way I do that is by building my network with doctor's offices, hospitals, assisted living facilities, skilled nursing facilities. Basically think of rehab, not rehab for I got a meth problem, rehab for I had a hip replacement, and I didn't have anybody home to take care of me, so I had to go in there. Yeah, physical rehab. So my job is to build a network. Now there are opportunities to where you can go and there's like after hours, like networking, or they'll have lunch networking and those kind of things. But just to give you an example, there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of I'll tell you there's triple digit facilities in our area, just in our area.
Yep.
Whether it's skilled nursing, rehab, assisted living facilities, all that. You start throwing in hospitals, doctors' offices and all that, there's probably 1,000.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to get in front of all those people in a networking event. So I have to go to them, and essentially, I am networking. I am building my network, but I have to go in and say, "Hey, I'm the guy to choose. So pick me." But you can't just go in and say that.
Yeah.
You can't go in day one and be like, "Hey, pick me because I'm awesome." You have to slowly build that over time.
Nurture it.
Yep, and in some cases it goes really fast, in some cases it goes really slow. But there's things that you can do to build that. Now, this is in my case with the home healthcare coordinator, but this is the same for any businesses out there. Whether you're in plumbing, whether you're in print, whether you're a car dealership, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be the same process because you're still looking for those customers that want or need or can use your product. Now, here are the things I recommend when you're doing this. Number one, don't go in and just ask for the sale right away because you're not going to get it, right? They don't know you. You're just coming in saying, "Oh, buy this thing from me."
Yep.
Right? So what you got to do is you have to provide value, whatever that looks like in your industry. I'm trying to think of a couple of examples. One there's some companies out there that if they did it the right way, they would probably be more successful, but they're all about volume. And that's when those people that come in and are like, "Hey, let's test your water," right? And see how good your water is. They come in, they give you this big presentation, they're like, "Oh, your water sucks, you need to buy our thing." I know my water sucks. Everybody's water sucks.
Does. Yeah.
So why this big long presentation just to tell me what I already know and then want to charge me some ridiculous amount? And then when I say no, then they're like, "Oh, well, we'll do it for." I'll give you an example. When I first moved here, we had them come in, they tested the water. They do it in all new houses. I don't know how they know you move in, but they do it. And they're like, oh, your water sucks. It'll be $8,000 for a water filtration system. And I'm like, no, thank you. Oh, well, just today I can do it for $5,000. So you're just going to give up $3,000 like that. That means it's not even worth $5,000 if you can knock that much off.
Yeah.
Well, on this podcast, a couple episodes ago, we had Miller & Sons own, and, she was just straight up. She's like, this is what it cost. And it was, I'll tell you what it was. It was $2,500 for the same thing that everybody else was doing.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, that's more reasonable. So, but there wasn't the big sales pitch. The dude was in my house maybe 15 minutes. It wasn't a science experiment. It was like, yep, this is, your water sucks, which you already knew that. To put our system in, this is how much it is. But my point is, when you're going in and you're doing this network, provide some kind of value. And whether it's, for me personally, I'm offering to help. I'm offering to be a resource. If you can be a resource, that's what you want to be. Yep. How can I help you? What can I do? With what I'm doing now, one of the biggest things is entertaining these folks that live in these assisted living facilities. So if they want me to come in, once a month and do an exercise class, a chair, what they call chair exercises, where we stand up, sit down, lift your arms, then that's what I'm going to do, because now I'm providing a service.
Yeah. And
the more they see me there, the more regular I am, and I'm not asking for things. Eventually, they're going to go, okay, you're coming in doing this. What do you want? I'm like, I don't want anything. I want to take care of your residents. Here's how I can help do that. So I'm still not asking for something. I'm like, here's how I can do that. In the print business, I don't want anything, but your business cards suck. Here's how I can help you out.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not here to tell you, you need to buy this expensive water filter system. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you have, cleaner clothes and healthier family and all these kind of things. That's what I'm here to do. Social media company. That's why we're here, instead of trying to do this podcast on our own.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, they don't want anything from us, but they're here to help. Now, yes, we got to pay for the things that, that help, but what it is doing for us in the long run is so much more than what we're paying for. So when you're building that network, when you're out there doing it one-on-one, probably the hardest part of my day every day is that 30 seconds before I get out of my vehicle and I walk into that building. Because you never know what's going to happen. You never know whether they're just going to tell you, nope, we're busy, get out, or they're going to say, okay, let's go back and have a chat. You don't know how that's going to go, but you keep doing it over and over and over again. So what I do right before I get out of my truck, right before I walk in, I'm like, okay, just remember that you're here because you want to help these people have a better quality of life.
Yep.
Whatever comes after that, and I had one day, like, this was no joke. This was like the most blatant blow off I've ever, it was almost kind of comical, right? I walk in there, I'm like, hey, can I talk to this person? They're like, hold on, let me call. They pick up the phone, they call. You see me tell them you're not available? Okay, she's not available. And I'm like, wow, that was, I was like, hey, no problem. I appreciate it. I tell you what, take my card. I'll send an email, whatever. But you can't take that personal.
Yeah.
But I got to go back, and I got to keep going back, and you got to keep going back, and eventually they're going to say, okay, what do you want? And that's when you mess with their noodle. Be like, I don't want anything except to help you out. How can I help you?
Yeah.
If you go with the mindset when you're doing your networking, when you're visiting your accounts, it's not about, hey, here's the latest cool thing that we can do, right? It's like, hey, what can we do for you? What are your struggles right now?
Yep.
Well, I'm really struggling to bring in some new business. Okay, well, let's talk about, what are some of the things you're doing? We're doing X, Y, and Z. Have you thought about doing mailers? Well, no, mail doesn't work anymore. I'm like, are you sure about that? Because your competition is spending like $5,000 a month sending out all these mailers.
Yeah.
So if your competition is doing it, why do you say it doesn't work? Right? Now I'm providing value. So anyway, that's more the one-on-one. You're going to accounts. Just know you're going to get rejected, and that's okay. have the right mindset when you go in. That's the key to it.
I also think because you're talking about like your personal side of things, that you could utilize your friendships and maybe not even friendships, but just general connections you have in life, and ask for help. A lot of times people are willing to help you out, especially, if they're already in business and they understand that struggle of how hard it is, they may be willing to help you. So just ask for it.
Yeah, I mean, perfect example. So Brian and Carrie both were on the podcast earlier. They're already in that world that I'm in now. And so we have some crossover between our accounts. So instead of me just going in and saying, hey, I'm the new guy, I'm like, hey, I need you to introduce me to these people. Because now I get to bypass that whole, okay, let me say this. In every business, there's a gatekeeper. Every business, there's a man or woman that sits at that front desk that decides whether or not you go in.
I have one for me.
Josh has one. I've seen her at work. She's very good at what she does. But, Josh is on the phone. Josh isn't here. Josh is busy. He's in a meeting, right? And I'm like, I work here. No, he's not. You open the door, right? But if you can bypass that, that's like the golden key, right?
Yep.
And so that's what I have Brian and Carrie doing. Walk me into these accounts so that I can go right to them, because they trust you. They're automatically going to trust me.
Yep.
In the case where you introduced us to those people last week, instead of them just blindly reaching out, now there's an introduction. So there's automatically a level of trust there. So that's key. I like that.
Yep, exactly. And that's what B&I is really about, is and again, just to wrap this up, is you get these connections, but you got to make sure to follow through when you actually get the connection that you need. Make sure you provide whatever it is that they expect and you promise, and try to do everything you can to over deliver. And so you build that continuous trust so they continue to come back to you. Or in my case, several times I've had referral from a referral, then the referral from that referral, and it just compounds, So it's ultimately, yes, there's different ways to go about it with marketing and different things like in those realms to grow your company, but word of mouth is still one of the biggest ways to grow a company, and obviously the cheapest.
Yeah. Well, I got one more tip, right? For the people that say I'm bad with names. Okay. Yes, we get it. People are bad with names. That's not an excuse. Here is what I do. Every time I go in and I meet someone, whether it's at a big event or whatever, you get a business card. And just on the back of that business card, pull out your pen. Even if they're sitting there, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to take offense to it. Matter of fact, if I see people doing it, I appreciate it.
Yep.
And jot down just a couple of things that will help you remember what that conversation was. Wearing a red sweater, like I remember one, I was like, it was a lady that I met, and I was like, very firm handshake, full of confidence. And now I can remember that whole conversation. And then, we have this book that I put all of that stuff in, and when I get ready to go back into that account, or I get ready to go talk to that person again, I flip back to it. What was it? Oh yeah, that's right. I remember the firm handshake. Now I'm prepared for it this time. But that's how you start to remember names. Don't quit using it as an excuse. Find a tool, write it down on the back of the business card, review it before you go talk to them again. And don't be afraid to ask, what was your name again? John, got it. Okay, yeah. Because they're going to forget your name too.
Most people don't care.
Yeah. Because we're all going to say, oh, bad with names, right? So be the one that's not bad with names, even if you have to cheat and look it up right before you go talk to them.
Yep.
Right? And if you use that in a conversation over and over again, that actually does help us sink in. So I just want to throw that in there before.
No, 100%. That's key. And a lot of times if you even write some specific down about, them personally, like if they had kids or something, and you bring that up in conversation, now you're building that trust and that connection even further, because they're like, oh, he remembered this conversation we had. Yeah. So I do think that's key.
And resist being the one-upper. Oh, you got kids? I got kids too. My kids are awesome. Let me tell you about them.
Yes, yeah.
Make it about them. Always make it about them.
Yeah, 100%. Well, hopefully you guys got something from this. And if you're not networking, make sure you get out there and network. And there's lots of ways you can do it that it's either very inexpensive or a lot of times even free for you just to go and do the networking events. Definitely make sure that you get that done for your business. And until next time, let's grow together.
time to step up. Yeah, it's grind time, no more letting up. No, running faster, further, no more running up. Yeah, giving my all, no more giving up. Listen to me, step, it's time to